most of us are in now. So again, thank you so much for being with us. As I always say, I know there's plenty of places that you could be and things that you could be doing. So we feel very appreciative that you have joined us today. This broadcast, as well as all others for National REIA, is sponsored by Home Depot Pro, where we have special programs for investors that you can be eligible for with your local group membership. We have discounts on paying up to 20% off, rebates that you can see more about as you log into the system, and other exclusive National REIA programs. We also have videos that can give you a little better explanation about the programs that we have available. So you can visit those within our channel on YouTube. Just a quick disclaimer, although we will be talking about financial concepts and some strategies for real estate investing, we are not acting as professionals for you. So you'll need to find those for you specifically and for your situation, both CPAs, attorneys, anything else that you need, you can find. And you can find those through your local group as well. We are a nonprofit trade association that's been representing real estate investors for over 35 years. We've got over 120 local chapters, over 40,000 members, and we would love to have you join us as a member. If you choose to do so and you would like those Home Depot benefits and or to find your professionals, you can join a local REIA. And you can find one by logging on to the website at nationalreia.org. You can click here to say that you're an investor, and this pop-up will appear. And when you click it, you can find a local REIA there. It'll show a map, and you can show the city that you're closest to, and it will point you to the right location for you. Today, we're excited to have, as always, legislative updates with Charles Tassell. But on an exciting note, we've got Brad Beckett, our Director of Communications and Outreach, who you get all of our great information from on a basically weekly basis and daily basis on Real Estate Investing Today, the website. But he will be interviewing one of our spotlights from the Real Estate Journal. Candace Parr and her family. They were on the summer 2024 issue, and you'll get to see them live and hear all about how they've invested together as a family. We're excited to have them join us. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Charles and let him give you some of our newest legislative updates.
All right, fulfilling the role of Papa Smurf today, I'll be speaking to you on a couple of legislative issues here. My youth group has so named me at this point. But wanted to reach out and just give you a heads up. If you haven't seen the headlines, there's a lot of chatter. We are 83 days from the election. So the issue of rent control, the vice presidential candidate has announced that she is looking at supporting the Biden administration's rent control program. So we're seeing that kind of crop back up. The interesting thing is it would be a limitation of up to 5% rent increases if you wanted to be able to do 100% expensing of capital improvements. Now, the interesting thing on this, and we mentioned this a little bit and kind of go into some detail on some of the writing, but this is the Tax Cut and Jobs Act is actually where this expensing came in. So that's already on the table to be cut. So we're not sure how much of this is legit versus is this rhetoric. And as we've told you many times over the years, as we get into election season and we're within that 90-day threshold now, folks, just hold on, because there's going to be all kinds of shrill comments that come out, and it doesn't matter who the candidate is, the closer we get, the more shrill it will get. So we saw this a couple of years ago about bad landlords. Now it's big housing. Many years ago, you might remember that the gentleman who ran for the presidency, and he, the rent's too dang high kind of thing. So this is not uncommon, especially in a economic situation where a lot of people are, we've talked about a K-style recovery. So some people are going up, some people are coming down. Those folks are struggling. And anybody who's bought eggs or milk or gone to the grocery store at all, you know that there's going to be some price factors out there, especially on housing. Keeping a roof over people's heads is going to be expensive. The key that this comes down to is, and the reason I'm focusing on this, is big housing is part of what's being focused on. This big housing is now been qualified or quantified in that if you own 50 units or more, you're technically part of big housing. Now, the real caveat is if you invest in a group that has 200 units, are you part of that? And what percentage? And those are all details that haven't even been started to be addressed. So that's some things that need to be sussed out at some point. With the legislative logjam, and we've talked about this since probably last November, December, not much going forward, split House, split Senate, different parties in charge. There's unlikely to be much movement on legislation. In fact, we were kind of surprised to see the debt ceiling move forward. So that's all been kicked down at this point past election day, from what I understand. We'll see. There will be some budget issues as we come up to the end of September, but we'll see how those are handled. Probably not well. And I say that to say it's going to be bumpy. Hold on. We are 1 month from an assassination attempt on one of the candidates. Next week is the Democrat convention. It's in Chicago. And those of you who have memory of 1968 Chicago Democratic Convention know that it wasn't all that peaceful. And there's a decent likelihood that this one won't be either. So there could be a lot of shenanigans going on, and we'll see what happens. I say all that to say, hang on, 83 days, let's get through it. It is not uncommon to see in our economic situation, people hold on to money, sit tight for a little while, and then after the election is over, whether it's resignation or jubilee, whichever side, then there's a movement and go forward. So as Americans, make sure we're talking to one another, talking, not shooting. We're all being friendly, working forward to move forward and getting through to election day. We are 83 days out, so hang in there, hang on. Keep an eye out on real estate investing today. We are getting some of these different items posted up, and expect there to be shrill comments. Make sure that you're available and don't overreact to those comments. That's part of my, well, I want to urge you on at this point. Leaders, make sure you're responding. Don't over respond or overreact. With that, Brad, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Charles.
Hi, Brad.
All right, can everyone see me? I'm not sure if the camera flipped to me or not. I still see Charles. Okay, great. Well, I'm looking at, there we go. There, it's my privilege today to introduce Gary and Candy Parr and their family, who were the featured members in the Real Estate Journal this summer, which everybody should have gotten in the mail. And today they're going to kind of give an overview of their real estate journey and tell us a little bit more about themselves. Like I said, they were the featured members. So every issue of the Real Estate Journal, we feature a member from across the nation, an everyday investor, someone who's been there, done that, who's had great successes, may have had some failures along the way, may have done great things, and they just want to share it. And today's family basically is a real estate investing family. And from what I learned, the Great Lakes REIA created a family membership for you guys. Is that right?
That's correct. They didn't know how to handle us. So
well, that's kind of cool. So again, they're from Northeast Ohio in the Cleveland area, and they're part of the Great Lakes REIA. And Candy and Gary, do you want to tell a little bit about yourselves and how you got started in real estate?
One day we just decided we wanted to invest with a couple that we knew in a house, just to see how it would go. That was probably about 20 years ago.
a sheriff's sale.
People we partner with, it worked out well.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to keep going, and we did, so we did.
Yeah, we gave a few years off, and then when the housing, in 2008, we got in a little later, a couple of years later after the housing market crash, and we've been doing it ever since.
And Katie, you were working in the medical field at the time?
Yeah, I was administrator in a couple medical practices.
And Gary, you were already doing some contracting work?
Yeah, I owned a home improvement company. So I did, I had 12, 15 guys, and that's pretty much what I've done most of my life. So
you were improving properties, and then you decided to get into real estate investing and do some fix and flips.
yeah.
Right, with the market being what it was, especially.
Now, do you still have that first fix and flip, or did you sell it, or did you keep it, or?
No,
No,
it's
it's
gone.
long gone.
Yeah.
Okay, and so how'd that turn out?
Um, that one did,
First one the one we did with Cheryl,
Yeah.
it turned out well. We did a good profit, and the way we started it at that time is. They basically did a home equity line on their house. And since I knew how to do all the work. So what they did is financed everything and I handled the work. And actually her husband got, the other couple, her husband got laid off, so he ended up coming to work for me for a few months anyways.
Okay,
And that's how we kind of did the first setup. And then after that, it was actually with my parents on the next deal.
and then after that, we've been on our own.
Then we haven't stopped after, so.
and so that was 20 years ago, so you're still going strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and how do you typically fund your investments?
Self-directed IRA.
So you have a self-directed IRA, just one, or you have one, everybody has one, or,
Yeah, we all have one and we have one together as a group.
okay, and use that to fund your investments then?
Yeah, not all of it, but, we've never done like a non-recourse or anything yet out of that. But, yeah, most of them, that's how we do it. If we're flipping a house, we generally will use a hard money lender, private money, to do a flip.
Okay, great. And what projects do you have right now that you're working on?
We're just working on one in, the Kent area in Ohio, and then we have a property that, we're debating about building. See
Okay,
if the numbers make sense. We met with the builder and we might do that as well.
so in Kent area, is that student housing or is that just a rental property, or are you just gonna flip it?
Right now we're holding it. We might sell it as a turnkey midterm, but that's what we do. The properties that we've held in great areas or, I mean, B minus, I would say neighborhoods, we hold them.
Okay,
And-
Airbnb, do you Airbnb them or just rent them?
No, just midterm, so a month or longer.
Okay, but do you do any Airbnb or any short-term rentals at all?
We have one, but we have a company out of Denmark that pretty much took that one over and it's an efficiency. We changed the garage into, I think that's the pictures you have, into a small efficiency. So that one, I guess we can consider an Airbnb.
Was that the house that's in the paper that was blue? Is
Yes,
that the one that looked like it was with the mess that was inside of it?
yes,
Like
that
a
one,
hoarder had been in there, maybe?
yes, it was,
She didn't send
splatter.
the worst, she didn't send the worst. picture.
no, that was
Oh,
a squatter in here. Yeah, for, I don't
well, that
know.
looked pretty bad. How did you clean all that out?
We hired somebody.
Oh,
With the big,
you
with
didn't do a
the big
family crew. You didn't go in there and everybody just pitch
No.
in.
No, not on that one, no way. We pulled up plenty
Well, that was,
and flooring in our day, but not that one.
well, on page 11 of the summer issue of the Real Estate Journal, there's a picture of this property before and after, and it looks like a hoarder. I mean, it looks like something off the Hoarders TV show.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it was slated to be demoed. So it was, which we didn't even know about it when we won it at sheriff's sale.
right,
wow. So you flipped it, put it back on the tax rolls, and it's a gorgeous looking property, right?
right. And the only thing that saved it was block and it overlooks a beautiful creek and the rafters. Everything else is brand new. That you're
Oh,
looking,
wow.
everything, yes.
Yeah.
And lots of trees and it was just overgrown, could not see it. And yeah, so,
What was
Yeah.
like the worst property ended up being like the best property. To be
Well,
honest,
that's what real estate investors do. They improve neighborhoods one home at a time. It looks like you did that there.
a lot of work.
Yeah, the one part of the picture that she sent was the outside, which is bad. But the first picture we had of it, the house was actually covered with poison ivy vines.
Oh, wow.
Grew all over the house, it grew under the siding, it grew all in the gutters, it everywhere.
it was a mess.
So I spent pretty much 6 months with poison ivy.
Holy, oh my God.
We like to
Well,
be
what-
on.
Well, I guess it could have been worse. It could have been in the south and may have been covered by kudzu.
Right, right. Yes.
Well, what are your current future goals? Where do you see yourselves going with your real estate investing business?
I mean, just keep doing what we're doing, really. We try to keep some of the deals we do, which is, I guess you'd say a family IRA, you know, which involves my daughter, my son, my other son who has, he's on the other line. So we try to grow that, which will actually help them down the road. And then we do some of our own through our own IRAs. We do a couple here and there, you know, with private money, hard money, whatever.
We try to do about 5 to 10 a year, depending.
But originally, when we did start, it was a matter of doing a couple rehabs, buying a rental. Doing a couple more, buy a rental, you know, but that was in the time when it was, you know, 2010, things like that, and we were buying houses for $5,000 in the Cleveland area, so.
For 5,000?
And decent neighborhoods.
We bought 5 houses for $45,000 at one point.
45,000, okay.
And we
Right.
Oh,
rented
wait, 45,000 total.
them
For 5.
total, and we rented them for $1,000 to $1,200 a month.
Wow.
The rent's really
Yeah,
high.
they were, it was great. And then after 5 years, we sold them all, and
The market went up and changed and we sold them and got out of it. But in hindsight, we wish we would have owned them all right
yeah, I
now.
wish we would have kept them now.
Well, isn't that the way it works? And that's,
Right, right.
And then we did do some investing in Florida.
Couple a year.
An area called Northport, which is just below Sarasota.
now
West,
your daughter's sitting there as a real estate agent and she works in Ohio and Florida, correct?
Yeah, so I'm co-founder of a brokerage down in Florida. And I own the title company there too. But I've been working down there in the sales side of everything for about 10 years now, I would say. And I now have the ability to go back and forth because I work remotely too.
Oh, that's great.
So I get to help with the investments here, still handle I'm supposed to go down Friday, knock on wood, I don't get COVID like everybody else. So yeah, that's been cool too, because then I get to kind of play with both sides of it.
And what was it like? What was it like going to REIA meetings as a kid? Because I know in the profile, your mom and dad talk about taking the whole family to the REIA meetings.
Yeah, well, I was a bit older because I'm 37, but Jacob was like the baby going to those meetings, so you might want to ask him.
Yeah, I was really young. I mean, honestly, I never thought I would be where I'm at right now doing, you know, houses and stuff. Cause when I was young, you know, as a kid, like you don't really think much of it, but as time went on, it started to catch up, and I appreciate my parents, you know, involving me in that type of stuff. So, but yeah, it was cool from an early age for
Now,
sure.
Jacob, do you have any projects of your own, or are you just still working with your parents primarily?
It's kind of a mixed bag, really. I don't have anything right now by myself. I've done a house last year by myself. Me and my brother kind of team up together. We kind of do our own thing, but we also mostly right now is with the whole family. So,
And Josh is on the call too.
Yeah. Oh, good. He's
Now,
there.
Josh, you were the one that house hacked when you were in college. Is that what we read?
Yeah, that's correct. So I think I was maybe 19 or 20 or something, maybe 20.
Okay.
There was a foreclosure right where, you know, we grew up, same town and everything. It was probably, you know, maybe, you know, 7-8 minutes up the road. It was a foreclosure property that came up at it was a HUD property actually. Under like the first look initiative where it's like it's only people that are gonna occupy it, you know, live in it for a year. So I ended up buying that when I was still going through college and everything and working. And it was like middle of winter. We went and all looked at it, and it was like we just got a snowstorm and everything. So there was like we kind of figured no one looked at it, you know, because it was like the middle of a snowstorm for like, you know, a day or so.
It was below 0 for days too.
Yeah, so it was just kind of lucky. We ended up getting it, and you know, we rehabbed it all. And I lived there for like two years or so.
Okay.
And rented out to a friend of mine who I went to school with and everything. So he covered most of the mortgage payment, and you know, we were living together and everything, and went really well.
Still have it?
No, I regret not having it again.
That's the way it works, right?
So my wife, well, it was before we were married. She got into anesthesia school out in Youngstown area, so I ended up selling it. We bought a small house out there while she was in school, and so I ended up selling it for that purpose. But yeah, it was a really nice house and did really well on it. And yeah, I think I bought it originally, like the original price was like 60,000 or so. So it was really good, and it was on 2 acres, really great property and everything after it was all said and done.
And you sold it and made a profit?
Yeah, I think it was about 165 we sold it for, and I think probably
Okay.
40 in it or so.
Oh, great, great.
Something like that. So yeah, it did help jumpstart, end of college and everything like that, and getting out of college and kind of going into more of this. It definitely helped, that path.
Oh, that's awesome. And you still work with your parents and all this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, and how is it with the REIA meetings? I was asking your mom and dad, like, you went to the REIA meetings as a kid?
Yeah. So like Ashley said, Jacob was definitely younger, but yeah, I was still like probably 14, 15 or whatever it was. And yeah, it was interesting at the time, but yeah, I kind of felt obviously a little out of place in a sense, being that young and everything. And I think we all found it interesting and but it was also like, I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
Well,
like
I
older
think
guys.
the cool thing
older-
about it is, I think the cool thing about it is like, you don't necessarily have to understand it, but if you're exposed to it, then like, I mean, even for my real estate career, even though I'm on the sales side, I love working with investors because I get it, a lot of people don't get that.
Right.
So I think being exposed to that growing up is huge. And I mean, we're all in the industry now, so obviously it made some sort of impact.
And the national REIA really jump-started them. They loved it.
And what if you had any advice for new investors about getting involved in the REIA meetings? What would it be? Just from your own experience, just anyone who wants to jump in. Gary, Candy, family. You had some nice things to say in your article about Great Lakes REIA.
Oh my gosh, it was, incredible. I said we wouldn't be where we're at without Gary Pliny, who started it, Zach Weaver, and of course, John Bowen. It opened up a whole new world for us. I had a little story, I guess I'll share it real fast. But I was in the medical industry, like I said, for years. And my first position, I had a profit sharing, which was incredible. Well, September 11th came and just killed it. It went under half. It took me so many years to try to rebuild it, to get it where it was. I moved our money over into a self-directed IRA and doubled my money in a year. It was incredible.
Wow.
And we were conservative because we didn't know much about them. So I had 2 IRAs and I wanted to just dip my toes in it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. All of our money is going into a self-directed.
Now, you learned about the self-directed IRAs through the REIA meetings, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't have known.
Exactly.
You don't know what you
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
incredible. That's
Right.
right.
Yeah,
Now-
I mean, the main thing I would say is,
All the people that don't
you
know.
show up and you're gonna take something away from it, as long as you're showing up and getting, seeing what education they have and just talking to people in the room, from novices to experts and everywhere in between, you're gonna learn something.
Right.
There was a gentleman that I asked him one time, I always saw him at the meetings. This was early on, years ago. And he was an elderly gentleman. And I go, so what is your, what do you do? Do you have rentals? Do you flip, whatever, fix and flip? And he goes, nope, I just come to here. He goes, I learned so much at these meetings and
Oh, wow.
I've never done anything with a house. I don't know. I can't remember where he said he heard of the meeting, but he went there just primarily for education because you never know what you'll learn here.
And you never know when that guy's going to pull the trigger and jump into the business.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned in your interview that St. Jude is one of the charities that you support.
Yes. Yes.
Is that something you actively do, or just
Oh,
one
yeah,
of your favorite?
actively. Yes. And the
A lot
boy,
of investors have a favorite charity they work with.
right. Well, Josh could tell you a little bit about what they did and Jacob about when they partner with their nephew. So when they flip a house, I don't know if one of you want to let him know.
Yeah, please share.
Yes, essentially well, Josh, you know more about it really. So we kind of made a pact with each other, like, you know, we would pick, I mean, we did different charities too, but, yeah, every flip or whatever it was, we kind of, you know, took a certain amount and put it into whatever charity we wanted to. Sometimes we split it up too, so we each picked our own and, you know, stuff like that, so.
So like 2,000 each charity if they pick 3 or whatever, yeah.
Well, that's great.
Wounded Warriors and, you know, St.
wow.
Jude or the animal, you know, the local Portage County animal. So it was, yeah, they always pick different ones and McDonald House was a big one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we love to hear about that stuff. I know one of our members we featured was Make-A-Wish Foundation, and then we hear other stories from different.
That's it, Make-A-Wish, but
Oh.
yeah, they do a
Yeah.
lot of the Make-A-Wish, yep. And my daughter-in-law's sister was part of the Make-A-Wish, so that's one of their favorite.
Got cut out.
Well, it's always good to hear that when our members are giving back to the communities they're working in, especially.
Yeah.
One thing that you mentioned is that you have a hobby where you sell, you also sell farmhouse antiques or something like that.
Yeah, a little business in my basement. So I sell online and then when people come, they usually shop. So I started with Farmhouse. We built our home here in Peninsula and I had some leftovers. A store had gone out of business, so I bought, you know, of course, too much. So then I had to unload. Well, now I'm into Halloween. I mean, I get into some antiques. I mean, I get a little bit of everything, Christmas, so it's fun. It's a hobby.
Well, that's good for when the, you know, cyclical times go good, times go bad. You've got that business to back you up.
Absolutely, that's right. We do like our midterms and they're staying strong here in Cleveland, so.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Is there anything else you'd like to share with folks around the country that are listening in?
no, just to become a member of your REIA, you know, I mean, it's just so, it'll just propel you to levels you wouldn't even have dreamed.
I mean, like Ashley said, it's just like, you don't have to understand it, but just put yourself in that environment. And for me, being the youngest and being in that, like I said, at first you don't think much of it, but it's, you know, it's like any good habit, you know, you put yourself in that situation enough and eventually you might find that, you know, it's something that you have a lot of interest in and you appreciate, so.
And I think it's really important too, to, you know, not necessarily having to do anything right now or, you know, invest right now, but at least understanding it and learning about it, especially with the way society is going and, you know, especially the younger generations, a lot of us are worried about retirement. Like some of us might not even have that option. So it's like, what can you do to make sure that you're securing your future? I know a lot of younger people don't think that way because they don't think they're going to be there, but they will. And it comes quick.
We drug them all to Dave Ramsey when they were 12. We made them put $25 a month in and they were not happy. And then when they went to the Dave Ramsey seminar, they got it because Dave Ramsey told them, not mom and dad. So then they started putting more in, you know, during college, they only put like $25 a month, but then eventually now they max them out, you know,
Wow.
what is it, 7,000 and yeah, 8,000 for over 50. So yeah, they try to max them out and yeah, that's what we have our group IRA under of all Roths IRA. So.
Well, that's a neat story. It sounds like you've laid a good foundation for your family.
Yeah, we preach to every young child, at least, you know, they're not into real estate, of course, not all of them, but I think that they should all open up a Roth IRA as young as they can.
Well,
Or-
at this point, let's see if anybody in the audience has any questions and wants to throw them in the chat bar. And we really appreciate you sharing your lives today.
Sure.
Is there anyone have any questions? I'm watching patiently here.
Since the market's a little bit slow, we're focusing more on marketing.
So with the slow market, right now you're focusing more on marketing properties versus buying.
Yeah, marketing for properties, yes.
Someone just asked, are you a nonprofit?
No,
No.
let's see, someone said, oh, I just saw a question. Someone said, well, wait a minute. Anyone else have any questions? I see, there's one up here. It says a side question. How do you avoid commingling your funds in the IRA, SD IRA versus regular IRA? I mean, that can be some tricky. You got to follow a lot of rules with IRAs, STIRAs, and regular IRAs.
I don't know if you can hear them better, Josh. They're cutting in and out.
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit, but I think I got the gist of it.
I think you might have froze up.
So essentially what we did, at least for our family, we made an LLC owned by our IRAs. And each of us has a 20% stake in that LLC, and we did an initial funding from our IRAs. X amount of dollars, everyone puts in the same amount. And then we just use that capital, and then if we use any private lenders, anything like that to fund the properties, it's pretty much stays in one bank account, and we just work that money and build it up. And then if we ever decide to, distribute it back out, it would just be 20%. It goes to each person. So it's very like clear, concise, like no issues. And it is one of those things. I don't know how many people, how great of an understanding everyone has about IRAs, but you can form an LLC to make it a little easier to navigate. And it could be just your own IRA, or it can be a group of IRAs with a percentage ownership. But the LLC makes it easier for everything just to be more clear cut. We can write checks, we can do whatever we want out of that. So
great. Someone else had asked if you've ever considered multifamily, 50 to 100 units.
It's not out of the question.
That's
Right.
more, that's more.
I say
the family.
Josh is definitely more into that probably, right, Josh? I think you were looking at one point for something bigger.
well, interested, but yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, everyone has their own approach of going about it, but yeah, I think we want to. I mean, my parents owned a triplex at one point for several years, and but I think it is something, yeah, we kind of want to do, and as a family, we probably want to like step up, kind of, go from single family, maybe do some, 4-unit, 6-unit, 8-unit, stuff like that. I know some people just kind of get into syndication right off the bat and buy a 80-unit property, but we just haven't explored that very much. But I think eventually, yeah, we kind of want to step up and do more of the smaller multifamily and maybe build that up.
Brad, I see a really great question about IRAs, and we have one of the foremost professionals and experts on IRAs on this call. He also does an ongoing series for us at National REIA about IRAs. Carl Fisher is here. One of the benefits of National REIA is a special relationship with CAMA Plan, and you can see that more in, if Lori, you could put the link to, yeah, and Carl answered the question. Thank you, Carl. In the chat over here, Lori will put a link to the benefit that we have in working with CAMA there. And then just keep a lookout in your email. We'll be sending to you the ongoing series that Carl is doing and CAMA is doing. And you can get all kinds of questions answered there and all kinds of information from that series. Sorry, Brad, just wanted to put it.
No, that was great. That was great, because sometimes we do need an expert to step in and answer the questions. But
Absolutely.
I just want to thank Candy, Gary, Ashley, Josh, and Jacob again for taking time to be with us today. I don't see any more questions coming through. I think you gave some great advice. You shared some great memories and some great experiences that
we feel
Go ahead,
honored.
good.
No, we feel honored that you asked us.
Well, I talked to Zach Weaver up at Great Lakes. I said, Zach, I need someone that we can feature as our member. You got anybody that's really good? He goes, oh, I've got somebody in mind. Let me call her.
Oh, that was so nice that he did that, Sorry for the COVID family here. 2 out of 5 isn't too bad right now.
Well, Yeah, I'm glad you're able to make it. But thanks again. And ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude our call today, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. It was
Thank you very
so
much.
nice meeting everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Bye-bye.
Bye.